Hello everyone, welcome back to the course on Chemical Reaction Engineering 2. Myself, Nidhi Mehta, Assistant Professor at Chemical Engineering Department, LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. So let's just start our today's session of catalysis with new topic or new characterization technique of catalyst, right? In the last session we have seen how to determine void volume of catalyst. In present session we will discuss about different techniques of catalyst characterization. The next characterization of catalyst is pore analysis, to determine or to analyze the pore which are present in a catalyst surface. So for that, catalyst we all know that consists of numerous pores, and these pores range in different sizes. It can be in the size of micropore range, mesopore range or macropore range. All depends on the preparation condition and its composition, correct? Now, pore size distribution gives an idea about accessibility of the reactant to the active site. So, if we know the nature of our pore, we can easily determine the extent of reaction which can be possible, right? The pore analysis is basically consists of determining the average pore size and that average pore volume or pore size distribution, right? Pore size distribution, pore volume distribution, average pore volume or average pore size. These are basic categories using which we can analyze the pore of a given catalyst. Now, moving to the next topic, which is void volume and solid density. So, what do we mean by the term void volume and solid density? A void volume or pore volume. The word void and pore can be used instead of each other, right? So, basically a void volume or pore volume of any catalyst can be determined using a boiling method. In this, what we can do, we can determine the volume of catalyst or pore volume of catalyst by boiling a known amount of sample in excess amount of water. What we can do is we can weigh the known amount of catalyst and then we can boil it in excess water, right? So what will happen is all the air molecules or bubbles which are present inside the pores will be removed by the water molecule due to boiling of water. And after the air in the pores is displaced, the sample is then superficially dried and again we need to do the weight. The difference between both the weight will be the volume of our pore. So, the increase in weight divided by the density which gives the pore volume. The method used is helium-mercury method, and in this method the volume of helium displaced by the sample of catalyst is being measured. And the void fraction of void volume epsilon is given by density into V, which is volume per gram of particle. So, this is the method which is used to determine volume, pore volume of any catalyst. The next is total pore volume and average pore size. So, in case of total pore volume or average pore size, what we are going to do is total pore volume is defined as liquid nitrogen volume at certain ratio of pressure to partial pressure, right? So for that we will be using this particular formula where Vp equals to V liquid, which is again equals to V gas into STP, that is standard temperature pressure, divided by 22.4 into 10 raised to 3 into 34.6. So this will be the formula which is used to determine total pore volume, right? Now, total pore volume, and for the average pore volume we will be using this formula R equals to 2 Vp by S. So average pore size can be estimated from pore volume, which we have already discussed, and for that we are assuming here that our pore is in the form of cylinder whose radius is small r. So R, that is radius, average radius of our pore, is given by 2 into volume of pore divided by S. So now let us discuss the next characterization technique, which is pore volume distribution. So for this method we are having two different tests. One is mercury penetration method and second is nitrogen gas absorption method. So for the first method, mercury penetration method, known amount of mercury is being used. So as we all know that mercury do not wet the surface area of catalyst or any other material, right? This is because of the fact that surface tension of mercury is in such a way that it does not allow mercury to wet the substance. So using this fundamental only we are using this method. The pressure required to force mercury inside the pores of catalyst depends on the radius of our pore. So if radius of our pore are much larger, the force which is required to insert mercury inside that pore will be lesser, right? And if the opening of pore of catalyst is quite small, so we require large amount of force or pressure to make mercury penetrate inside that pore. So using this phenomena only, this method has been adopted. Next method is nitrogen gas adsorption method or nitrogen gas adsorption method. In this method, nitrogen gas is adsorbed until nitrogen pressure approaches saturation value and all the void volume is filled with nitrogen, that is all the pores of our catalyst is filled with the nitrogen gas. Then we will try to remove that nitrogen from the surface using desorption isotherm, and these data is used to form a plot, right? Measuring the amount evaporated from capillary will depend on the opening of our radius of pore. Since the vapor pressure of capillary depends on the radius of capillary, the data we can plot, that is void desorbed versus pore radius, and this can be utilized to form the nitrogen gas adsorption technique. Now let us discuss the nature and mechanism of our catalytic reaction. So here we will be discussing what will be the nature or mechanism of our catalytic reaction. We all know that the general characteristics or nature of catalyst can be characterized into various forms. For an example, a catalyst is those substances which provide alternate pathways to our product formation, right? They just simply provide us an alternate pathways, or simply they lower down the activation energy, which will help us to determine or which will help us to enhance the rate of reaction. Since the activation energy is lower down, the formation of product will be faster and hence it will be enhanced. In the reaction cycle, active center of catalyst are basically combined with at least one of the reactant. This is foremost important. How the catalyst actually works. The working of catalyst is basically dependent on either of the one reactant will first combine with the catalyst, and then it will form some intermediate which will again try to combine with another kind of your reactant and form the desired product, right? The reactant then again regain the shape. The catalyst will again regain the shape and you can use that catalyst again and again. Now, the next topic or the next characteristic is comparatively small active centers requires to produce large product, right? So, we require small amount of catalyst in our reactor to form our products. Equilibrium conversion is not already altered by catalysis. This is very much true, because in case of reversible reactions, catalyst can enhance the rate of forward reaction, but equally it can enhance the rate of backward reaction. So, equilibrium will be in the same place, it won't be altered. And finally, the most important part, which is the catalyst can radically alter selectivity. So, we can select which product we need to form, how much we need to form, and so on. So, these are the important characteristics of catalyst which we must understand and we must know before selecting any kind of catalyst. Now, mechanism of catalyst. So, how it actually works. Catalyst basically works by changing the activation energy, as we already know. This is basically achieved by providing some alternate path, right? When the new reaction path has a lower activation energy, the reaction rate has to increase or enhance automatically, and this is how it actually works. And the best example for this is oxygen. So, because oxygen is an inhibitor of free radical reaction, many of which are important in synthesis of polymer. Such reaction must be performed in an oxygen free environment, that is under some nitrogen blankets, we can say, right? So, in such cases we know that there are some reactions which can get hindered due to presence of oxygen, and for that we know we need to hinder the presence of oxygen by supplying some inert gases. So, this is mechanism of catalysis. So, as you can see, A plus B is reactant which combines to give me product C. In the first step, A plus X, which is my catalyst, gives me AX, which is an intermediate. This intermediate reacts with another reactant B to form another intermediate, which is B plus X, and then both the intermediate will combine together to give me my desired product, and catalyst can be recovered back. So, this is all about catalysis part in today's session. Hope all the things which we have covered today are quite clear. Thank you.